Hi all, I would just like to say a few things before going over this game from last night with Chris Duncan, who's a really nice guy, one of the nicest guys in chess. I'd like to say I'm a muppet. I'm a total muppet. I realise that chess is actually too complicated, definitely for me and probably for most humans, but definitely for me because I'm a total muppet. The second thing I'd like to say is I like my weeding metaphors that may have come as a result of not sleeping about this game too much, because I thought I was doing well, and so with these thoughts in mind, okay, weeding in the garden and me being a muppet, let's have a look at this game. So I was playing white again against Chris, so deja vu from last week playing Watford, but we went to Watford Chess Club, so this was an away match at Watford in the league, Division 1. Watford are the league division champions, by the way, and on the 5 boards, 4 of their opponents, including Chris, are over 200. So a formidable team all the way through. Chris played the Sicilian defence, and I thought he's a dragon specialist, Sicilian dragon specialist. But actually, you know, I should have prepared something probably against the Sicilian dragon. That would have been a good idea. If you know someone's got a fixed opening, possibly that's a good idea. I thought I'd be very adventurous here and not repeat the knight c3 of the week before, but instead play the wing gambit b4. I thought this might be an underestimated surprise weapon. Yes, I know. You did hear the introduction to this video. I did say I'm a muppet, but anyway. So c takes b4. You'll notice actually there's a loose rook here. Okay, a3, d5. And I take here, I think, let's put on a Kibitzer, okay? And you might be suspecting something here, based on my prelude to the video, that, you know, I played something like this. No, that would be a super muppet, because that's Queen e5 check, winning the rook. That's something to avoid. And I was actually aware of this. Yeah, this has been a very short game with this trap in the wing gambit. Yeah, you want to avoid this. You want to keep control of the central square and be aware you've got a loose rook. So I did play knight f3 here. Knight f3 is actually the most common move actually. Now Chris played a rare move. Usually players with black play e5. For example, like this, apparently. And actually the evaluation is meant to be about equal here, believe it or not. This position here on livebook, but the engine actually likes black. Black is a pawn up, yes, but that is the wing gambit. But yeah, if we follow the livebook, it seems as though white has some compensation. The engine evaluation is actually dropping down to not so bad, minus 0.28. So there's some compensation here, but it's not the most solid opening, of course. But there's some pressure here against black. But yeah, surprising move actually. Bishop g4. Sorry, not bishop g4. Knight. Let's go back. Yeah, actually, knight f3, bishop g4. This is surprising. It's not much in knight, but 4 games here. So we've gone out of territory a bit, and already the engine evaluation has actually gone up because it's actually letting me get my pawn back basically immediately, which I didn't do. I could have done this actually, because now bishop takes f3. Yeah, I thought this might not be a problem here with the rook actually, but I should have calculated this further. So this is my first point of mistake here. This position, bishop e2, if taking the rook, queen takes b7. Oh, hang on. Yeah, this is what I missed. I think there's queen c8 checkmate. Yes, don't worry, this is just the start of crazy variations in this game. This game has an insane amount of crazy stuff going on in it. So this is the first point that I've missed, that I could actually take the pawn immediately. So that's something to bear in mind. King d1 here apparently is the strongest move. If bishop e2 taking apparently e6, and this isn't as strong as the other line, which is a mystery actually. So even after losing the knight here, bishop a3. So just out of pure curiosity, why on earth is king d1 stronger here? in this one here. Why not e6 here? Check. King d8. There's some mysterious reason going on here, which I'm not aware of even. Let's just work this out for the sake of record. So why King d1 is much stronger than bishop e2? It just seems to happen a lot quicker, doesn't it? If we looked at the bishop e2 line here, queen takes, e6, king d8. Now that isn't devastating completely, this position. Let's just check that out. Apparently this is only a small advantage for white here for some reason. But the other position with king d1, okay, just for theoretical interest, because we're never going to see this position again in most games. So a takes b4, bishop takes, queen takes, the check, king d1. Why is this much more devastating? The check. Oh, hold on a sec. It's like there's an extra move. I think there's just an extra move. Okay, let's move on from this, because yeah, this is going to be a long video otherwise. So anyway, so bishop b2. I played actually bishop b2. So apparently a takes is possible here. Did I play bishop b2? Yes, I did play bishop b2. Okay, knight f6. I take the pawn now. e6. Now apparently maybe he should play the check here and fracture the pawns. I mean, I didn't think this was brilliant for me. I thought there might be some compensation. I know I played it a bit crazy, and it's a crazy opening, but black's apparently better here. It looks wretched actually, the structure. So yes, he could have perhaps done that, but he's let me off. He's given me, it seems, a very good position. Queen's going back. I even played bishop b5 check. And here I started getting really excited, because I thought knight here, there's almost crazy tactics, like rook a6 almost. I thought it's not quite working, is it? But that's kind of weak. If I kick this and then kick it again, I thought there's knight e5, and then that starts to get nasty. For example, you know, here, this could be looking dangerous. Although I'm not entirely sure, maybe black's okay there. But in the game, you know, I started getting excited. But actually, perhaps knight c6 is actually the strongest move here. It's actually what the engine suggests. Chris actually played knight bd7. Okay, now here's the weeding metaphors and the excitement. You see, okay, why am I excited? I'm excited because I'm thinking h3. If the bishop drops back, I'm going to play like this, and also include g5 to kick the knight away from d7. Thought, what on earth is Chris doing here? I just thought, what on earth is he doing here? Because this position after h3, so I was already very, very excited by this position. I thought, this is going to be an early disaster. It's only move 10. What is happening here? I thought black should take. He was giving up the light square bishop voluntarily. This can't be good, because here I thought I've got this, and the engine agrees. I've got this, because I'm on a8, and if here, then I can take here. You can see it could be a potential light square disaster. There's no way he's going to play bishop h5. I think Chris is a very advanced player, very, very strong understanding of chess for what he played. He's inviting what seems to be a very, very lucrative set of transactions here for me to win material. Very, very lucrative. Yes, but this is actually, you can definitely ascertain from the ingredients of this position. Let's just establish this as a sanity check. This position here is a slight advantage for white. Forget the opening I played. This is a slight advantage for white. If takes here, queen takes b7, what does black do? If he routinely castles, I think I'll be slightly better anyway here. It's only a small advantage. It's not a big deal. So yeah, he could have played this. He could have played this. And in fact, this is the engine suggestion to play this. The second suggestion is bishop f5 from the engine, and they're actually both at plus 1.92. Engine perspective, both of these are at plus 1.92. But I think, yeah, Chris is luring me to create weaknesses here. So, yeah, coming back to the weeding metaphor, which I haven't spoken about, it's like the weeds. You cut them because it's lucrative to cut the weeds. That's the surface, but they just grow back in 2 weeks, right? So you want to get to the root system. You want to cause damage to the whole position. The whole position is the weeds on the top and the whole root system. You can consider that the position. The lucrative transaction is just the weed on the top. You do that, they'll come back 2 weeks later. Chris is actually provoking light square weaknesses. And the funny thing about this, I thought of actually winning a piece. So, okay, it's so lucrative, this, that after bishop h5, I became so excited that also, as a side effect of my excitement, my calculation started to be completely shredded, stopped, halted. I just couldn't calculate this. I was getting too excited because I thought, just g4, what is going on? And Chris also added to this because he starts thinking for about, it seems, 40 minutes on one move here or something coming up after bishop g6. I thought, why can't I just play g5, right? So the knight moves somewhere, say e4, and then I'm looking forward to knight e5, end of game. I really thought that. I thought, blimey, this is going to be a 12-move win against an FM. I just played g5 here, and I'm winning a piece. Why can't I just play g5 and win a piece here? No, seriously. If I give you 5 seconds to analyse this position, would you be excited by this position or not? You're white against an FM here. Why can't you just play g5 and win a piece? Do you want to pause the video here? Okay. Now, if you get this, your understanding of chess is actually very, very good. The problem with this, well, the problem starts with this resource black has, which is a6. And actually, if we look at the history of moves I've been playing here, I've weakened dark squares with h3, I've weakened light squares, I've weakened this diagonal, I've weakened this diagonal, and if we add that ingredient to losing the light square bishop potentially, then you have chronic light square weaknesses, where resources like bishop h5 are actually pretty painful, as the variations will demonstrate. Because here now, I still thought I was winning a piece. In his 40 minutes of thinking, I thought, this position, I must be winning a piece still. Let's just examine, if he doesn't play a6, it's the only move virtually. If he plays knight e4, then yes, sanity check. Knight e5, I thought, is there something with queen g5, queen g2? No. This shouldn't work. Rook f1, knight g3 even. This shouldn't work. I think I could do anything here. I could probably even take here and get out of the checks eventually. These checks are not working, surely. Well, even bishop f1 apparently. This can't be right. That knight e4, it cannot be right. This is not happening. This position is not happening. So I was so excited. Imagine, you've been analysing this position and you're thinking the opponent is just biding time to resign respectfully because the other matches are still in progress. Right? So he plays a6. I'm thinking this variation wins as well. By the way, if you played knight d5, knight takes, let's rule this out. This was mentioned in post-mortem. This move, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Can you see why? 5 seconds. Queen f3. I'm hitting f7. I'm hitting the bishop. Bishop takes d7. Classic queen takes f7 checkmate. It doesn't work, that defense. We'd also looked at this other idea of knight d5. Yes, this is going to be a long video. Knight e5, knight b6. We looked at this position, knight a4, and one of Watford king e7. Blimey, I know it's crazy, but we thought king e7. Actually, we didn't see a clear win here, but apparently this is very good for white, just with queen f3. It's not, might not be winning a piece, but it looks pretty devastating. White's got numerous threats here, but anyway, it's not needed. Just knight takes d5 here and knight e5. So I was licking my lips. I really was licking my lips. But if you look at the ingredients that I'm creating here, I'm weakening a lot of squares. Okay, and I'm about to lose the light squared bishop to this tactical idea. But I thought, and now this is terrible. This is really unbelievably terrible. I thought, what is Chris doing? Is he giving me an anchorman position where in anchorman there's these scenes set up for total disasters, but before the mobile caravan's about to sort of tumble over, you can see it's going to be a total disaster because everything is in the wrong place. There's things going to be flying around. I'm thinking the queen and king are about to be forked, and he's going to have a loose bishop on g7 in this variation. If all I do is g takes f6, I thought, what is he doing? This is totally gone. Surely this position is busted. He has to play a takes, right? So I play rook takes a8, okay, and I'm totally excited by this position because I'm thinking the queen and king are just in the wrong place. This is comedic. The bishop's going to be a loose piece on g7, and the queen and king are going to be forked to knight b5, knight c7 check. I know. I just couldn't control myself here. I mean, this position, I couldn't control myself, but for some reason I may have thought that there's a slight snag with it, and I actually rejected it for something else which I thought was even cleverer. Now before we go on to that, yeah, there's a lot to analyse here. I played what I thought might be cleverer, to leave the bishop hanging and the queen on a8. I thought this is comedic because he's got a loose piece here and knight c7. So I play this move. Yes. Yes, I play that move. And can you see a slight problem with this move? So this is move 14. I'm just going to get a sanity check. No, I didn't play that move. Sorry, I played rook takes first, putting the queen on a8. Then all right, there's two choices. There's knight takes b5, which looks really strong because I'm then threatening fg, and also threatening knight c7 check. So I still think the game's virtually over. I thought, what on earth has Chris done? Okay, what has he done? But now, yeah, I'm just too excited. I'm not calmly looking at variations here at all. My ability to analyse variations through excitement has been shot to pieces by this stage. This is the tension and drama that's built up in the long game. I think that's why, I don't know. You know, in blitz chess you can't get that excited. But, you know, you can in long games. You start seeing these floods of variations which seem promising. And I thought, isn't this beautiful? I can play FG here, and it's like a scene from Anchorman. I'm going to fork the queen and king, and the bishop's hanging. So we have this position, and I play knight takes b5, so leaving my bishop hanging, but threatening knight c7 check, threatening bishop takes g7. But guess what black can play here? If I give you 5 seconds, black to play. What does he play here? He's actually got at least 2 moves which don't lose a piece. In fact, if I just rationally analyse this, there's 2 moves, 2 candidate moves. That horrible Kotov is right, probably, as a way of minimising excitement. Look at the candidate moves as a way of reducing your excitement, if nothing else. Sit on your hands, look at the candidate moves for black. Black doesn't have to take the bishop. Black doesn't have to do something about queen c7 with the queen. Black's got other candidate moves. In fact, the king can salvage the situation here with this loose piece on g7, with either king f8 or castling, both of which the engine gives are equal, 0, 0, 0, either king f8 or castling. And now I have wrecked my position totally. It's worse than a strategic crush. Total wreckage on the light squares with this bishop, this queen. I'm the anchor man. I've got all the things in the wrong place here for a total disaster, set up for a total disaster with bishop h5 and b6 coming up. I'm totally distraught now, and I've also thought, now I'm doing a simul now on the current position and the previous position, trying to analyse if I just missed the win. Before going on, let's not go on for the game continuation from here, which was bishop takes g7. I'm a pawn up with a totally wrecked position here after bishop takes g7. We'll get back to this in a moment. Let's have a look. I just got too excited. The move is knight takes b5, but this is the start of the story. This is far from clear, believe it or not, because actually there is damage which has been done. I have, if you look at the history of moves, I've lost my light square bishop, and I've also created light square weaknesses everywhere. And there's two moves which actually present difficulties for white. Queen a4, which we were analysing in depth, and queen a2. The engine actually likes queen a2 at a certain depth, and the evaluation is far from being +3. It's only just about, plus 1.16 here with queen a2. Just to show you some of the horrors. Queen a4, you see I've got a wrecked position here. And black can actually use a temporary piece sacrifice. Takes this position. Now the first thing you might consider, can white keep the extra piece? Can white throw in a check? If we throw in a check, this doesn't really help things. King e7, I'm going to be losing a piece, and then I'm going to face the harsh reality that my light squares are shot to pieces. Say knight takes f7, rook takes. This is actually already better for black. My light squares are just terrible here, and in fact black can even play bishop takes c2 and it has an active rook. It's not very, very pleasant at all for white. So this check, or this check, can actually be ruled out. This one, I've got two pieces hanging, and my position is wrecked from earlier, because remember, I've lost my light square bishop, and I've weakened all my squares. This is a total disaster. If I play queen here, queen takes, still leaving two pieces hanging. It's just not very, very pleasant, this position. And look, yes, it's anchorman. It's a total disaster. Everything is just in the wrong place, basically here. The rook against the king, the light square shot to pieces. Everything is just totally in the wrong place. But if we look at this position, from an engine point of view, it still likes white technically, but you have to play the absolute right moves. If knight c3, and this is the funny thing, we're looking at knight c3, queen takes b4. Where does the bishop move? Because here, the wrath of the light squares, with bishop h5 now. You can see how damaged the position is. Black is actually threatening things like knight e5 here. I know chess is such a rich game, isn't it? It's just so unbelievably complex, chess, but this position, a piece up, is far from easy to play, actually. If queen e2, just as an example, then rook g6, and then there's things like rook f6 on the cards. So if the bishop moves, say, then queen a5, there's queen f5 on the cards. There's knight e5 on the cards. If rook f6, I mean that's virtually equalising straight away. It's winning the piece back. The light squares are shot to pieces, and the opponent has this light square bishop. Apparently queen b5, and I can just about equalise here, giving the piece back. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So apparently in this position, white has to play very, very accurately. There's an accurate move available. For example, queen a1, and this is scary stuff. For example, takes here, check, here, queen takes, bishop takes. I mean, this is a maze of complexity now that's been created. Just to be +1 in the position, just +1. You'll note that that light square bishop's still lurking around, and you know, it's potentially it's the best continuation, and it's one I should have played, but it's only about +1. So a lot of damage has actually been done to the position in trying to win this piece. I was just so excited, and the immediate blunder. So this was the right move, but Queen A4 seems to present some problems, and the engine suggestion of Queen A2 seems also interesting. If we look at this, F takes, Queen takes here, because there's still a lot of light square issues to solve. And if white doesn't play an accurate move here, say white castles, bishop h5, you can see the evaluation is only about +1 here from an engine point of view. Look at the light square pressure. This nasty pin, it's not very pleasant. You know, Queen f6. You know, white has to play very, very accurately here. An immediate way to give black an advantage would be King G2 here. Takes, and we use this loose piece as an example. So knight Bd4 apparently in this position, and the evaluations, you know, it is +1 or about +1, but yeah, accurate play needed. So yes, I did miss an opportunity for an advantage here. I ridiculously miscalculated here in this position by playing FG. I just intuitively thought, oh, I'm creating a loose piece, and there's this knight fork, but the king saves the situation. The king actually saves black totally in this position with castling. But I'm disturbed by this game sequence, and I'm looking at my light squares. I'm completely disturbed now by this game and its ramifications. There are all sorts of other pins, by the way, which we looked at in post-mortem. I wonder if I can get a gist of them. So instead of this F takes, so we just take here, we take here. So black plays Queen A4, takes. I wonder if I've missed something I wanted to really show. I've shown the checks. Looked at this for a bit, this bishop h6. We looked at this position for a moment with this nasty pin here, and we looked at Queen A2. If Queen E2, yeah, Rook G6, it just starts to get very nasty. You know, bishop here, Queen A5. We've got things like Queen F5, or even Queen A1 check apparently, and here, and then bishop. Let's have a look at this. Right, so let's just get an idea of what's going on just with a token move. Check, knight d1, Queen A4 to c6 maybe. It's just very, very unpleasant. You see the king stuck in the centre as well. Black's rook is active. This is a nasty situation. So it would really require a totally accurate follow-up of, in this position, to play Queen A1. So offering the knight and rook, basically going for this Queen A8. If Rook G6 here, check. I mean, this is an improvement for black now. We're talking 0.67. You can see the light square damage has been done to white. An accurate move is needed here with bishop G5 to use up the F6 square. We're looking at stuff like this. Well, actually, I've got two pieces hanging anyway, so there's not too much choice. Apparently, in this position, Queen H8. But am I going to calculate all this with Queen A1 to A8 to H8? It's not worth creating the weaknesses. It's not worth creating the chronic weaknesses and losing the light square bishop, basically. It's unbelievable provocation. I've never had a game like this before with this unbelievable kind of provocation, and my calculation totally messed up. So in this position, yeah, a good move apparently is Rook G1 in circumstances, given that bishop H5 is coming up. But I castle, And I've psychologically been broken, to be honest, because black has got all the trump cards now. He's got b6 on the horizon. He's got knight e5 coming up. I just remember there was also a queen sack line in what I played. There was also a queen sack line. This is a note on move 18, but I just want to show you the queen sack line as well. In what I played, we're also looking at taking here was fascinating and interesting. Off the check here, takes, threatening rook a1. White has to actually be careful in this position. After bishop h5, knight e5 is threatened. Our analysis in postmortem was wrong here. We were looking at c3 to try and trap the bishop. I thought that was going to be my intention, but black should be okay here with this nasty pin in conjunction with rook g8 check. And this is mad. Knight e5 here. There's actually a counter queen sack for white to gain the advantage, which we nearly calculated correctly. Knight takes. Rook d8 saves the bishop because of this bishop c3. It seems. But apparently here the engine's coming up with rook b1. So after rook takes d2, there's knight c4. So it'll be the exchange up after all that. Yes, the exchange up there, plus 1.23. So yeah, it's crazy stuff to give up the queen like this, but that's possible. But even stronger here, which actually rules out this queen sacrifice, is d4 apparently. So the check here is not so bad. I think the king can go to either square. We're back to +3. So the queen sacrifice line was interesting as well. Just I needed to show you that. That was it. That came up in postmortem. So let's go back to the game. So move 18. Oh blimey! So my light squares have been shot to pieces, and he's got the light square bishop. So here I'm threatened with this b6. I come up with probably not a very good move in the circumstance. Apparently queen e2. No, d4 is actually the second engine move. d4. I played it. So b6, and now my idea was d5, and I'm hoping to get rid of the queens and blockade on d4. So if he takes it here, I take, and we get this blockade, and this actually be good for white. It's a small advantage for white, this position. The light squares are not so bad. The blockade on d4 is quite nice. But alas, Chris, he's a strong FM. Unfortunately, after d5, here, by the way, I think I can wriggle out of things with either queen d2 or queen d3. But queen d2 has this queen... Oh, hang on. There's some other checks here. So bishop here, there's queen c3 check. This should be okay for white as well. Getting rid of that monstrous light square bishop. But yeah, knight f6, still using the light square pain that Chris has inflicted on me. Gives black the clear advantage here. Yes. And here I play... I should have probably played this. For e takes here, but then c5. But then Chris could energetically play d4, it seemed. This isn't so clear actually. Knight takes, and the light squares are not so horrific as it might seem actually. So yes, this would have been a good continuation to calmly play c4. But as I say, I'm a bit distraught by this game because I'm looking at earlier if I could have won a piece. I'm doing a kind of simul now in this game, looking at an earning position. I know it's terrible, but yeah, I thought I had a major missed opportunity from earlier and I couldn't get over it. But apparently this is better for black anyway, this position. If he just takes here, this is better. Apparently queen a5. But it's not as bad as the game for sure. It looks as though the G file is pretty depressing as well. But apparently there might be some play here. Yeah, I mean, if with best play there's some play, it's only like less than half a pawn advantage to black. But as I say, my calculation totally gone, totally by this stage. I'm getting a bit. I'm thinking a little bit. I'm thinking queen d2 here. But it's not good enough. this position is not good enough. Clearly he's not going to do bishop takes f3, yeah, to allow perpetual or whatever. In fact, it actually loses for black, yeah. So he's not going to do that. He's going to play queen d5. And I can't play queen g5 here, because this knight's going to be stranded here, end of the knight. So I play queen takes d5. Yeah, black's got a big advantage now, plus 1.5. The light squares are still wrecked. And I make things even worse again. I think I've had enough of the game by now. You know, from thinking I'll be winning in 12 moves, I've just totally had enough of the game. And I'm thinking, well, can I get my rook round there if I offer the b4 pawn? So I play this move. Unfortunately, he doesn't have to take on b4. If he did take on b4, I might have had a point of some sort. Yes, maybe like the rook goes here and then to a7. But even so, black's better even there. But no, he just plays bishop e2. This is the strongest move in this position. Yes, I know I'm embarrassed. I just find the whole game it's a nightmare. It just didn't happen. It have to happen. I just wonder what on earth hit me in this game. But very gutsy play from black to provoke all the weaknesses as though he was losing a piece. But even in the piece winning lines, the damage had already been done in my position, and this highlights, you know, might as well make the bishop the hero of the light squares. It's a symbol of the entire game of creating chronic light square weaknesses. So yeah, the game continued a little bit longer. This doesn't really help. Check here, it doesn't really help still. This check here. He's going to have two pieces for the rook. He just sacrifices on f7, and here I give him the benefit of that. It's clearly winning for black. He's just going to take this, going to have a big b pawn, and I resign. So yeah, it's a bit of therapy to go over this game, and I knew I was going to have a hard time on board one for the clubs. Yeah, Chris is a great player. This is probably why he had a 2400 rating performance recently at the Isle of Man tournament and held some GMs to draws, etc. This is a brilliant game for provocation, where it seems as though black's just playing ridiculously badly in some respect to allow forcing moves. But all these forcing moves combined with losing the light square bishop, you can see there's pain to white if white didn't play accurately, even in the piece winning line. But yeah, it didn't help that I just was left even without the extra piece, just with chronic light square weaknesses. And then it didn't help that I wasn't able to focus here. So this position is the damage can apparently be minimized to nearly half a pawn with accurate play. I mean, I was trying to think about this position. So d5, the very good move, knight f6, but it needs now a temporary pawn sacrifice with c4. This is the very best move, but it's struggling for equality with the white pieces. So potentially he's got the light square pain, and he's also got the g-file pain. My pawns are a bit of a wreck, yeah, but c4 would minimise the damage. But by this time, my calculation from all that excitement has been shut down, and looking at the past of the game, it's ridiculous. So yeah, very dramatic game. I don't know if you got something from it. I think I might have, but I'll probably need a few more days of reflection. Comments or questions on YouTube. And by the way, they completely wiped us out 4.5 half. Yeah, my good friend Alex didn't do so well against Venkat, who's about over 210 or something. Yeah, we didn't do very well on the other boards either, so it was like 4.5 half. Oh well, they're the league champions actually in Hearts Division 1, so a great team, and Chris is a great player. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.